going on, family? Welcome back to Rock's Movie Reviews. You already know. Thank you for clicking and sharing this opportunity with me to speak about our newest movie. And this is going to be called Wonder from 2017. This movie really touched me in many ways. This is a touching story with rock-solid performances all around. Stars the young Jacob Tremblay, who's I can't even say he's an upcoming actor anymore, man. He's been in a lot of films at such a young age. And this movie does also star Owen Wilson, and it stars Julia Roberts as the mom and dad of this beautiful child, man. This is a phenom. Jacob Tremblay, you're going to hear his name for a very long time. And if you're looking for a family film, if you're looking for a outstanding just acting ability kind of film, if you're looking for a great story and a heartwarming and kind film with a great message, I believe Wonder is that movie. It's a touching story about a boy named Auggie Pullman, who's born with a genetic disorder that required numerous surgeries to enable him to function. Not to mention, he has a facial disfigurement, which is so, hideous in a way that, people look at him a certain way. People don't want to befriend him because it's, he's scary looking, but Auggie overall is a sweet boy who has a loving family who don't treat him any differently. And especially his mother, beautifully played by Julia Roberts, who's amazing in this film. While he's homeschooled for the most of his life, due to that, due to his own mother's insecurities of his face being like that. She didn't want him made fun of or anything like that. So she, homeschools him for the majority of his life. So she finally decides that it's time for him to go to school. Much to the initial dismay of his father, played by Owen Wilson, who also does a phenomenal job, who was fearful about how he might be treated. And I love that when it comes to the film, because you ask yourself these questions, how do I feel about my son or daughter, right? In this case, it's the son going to school looking like that, and what are the possibilities, right? Of course he's gonna learn. Of course he's gonna, be himself, but he doesn't have the experience to be around other people. How is he gonna be treated? How is he gonna react to be mistreated if he is mistreated? And, it brings a lot of questions to mind. And I think the title was fitting because you could only wonder. Auggie, he's very loving, and he does have a sister in the movie. So before I could even speak about the sister, you think about it. Imagine you're a child that has all this attention because of your disability. Imagine having a sibling who gets a lack of attention, who has her own dreams, who has her own struggles, who has her own identity, but she feels invisible. How would that child go along life? Would it affect them? Would they start to retaliate? Would they start to bully others? Just in general, how would that person feel? And, we meet his sister, Via, and incredibly performed by Isabella Vidovich, who she adores her brother, but finds herself feeling like she's on the sidelines of the family due to the attention the parents give her brother, And of course, much of the story is about Auggie, deservingly so, integrating into school and the challenges he faces throughout his, epic ordeal, especially socially. While it works, to me, very well, we're given some somewhat cliched vibes, right? Cliched characters here. We have the bully, we have the person who makes fun of him, then we have the sweet girl, right? Summer, who likes him but is initially afraid to show it. And then we have the boy who's a friend but is peer pressured in backstabbing or hurting Auggie, right? So we have those cliches in the movie, and I thought they played a huge part. It might be cliches, but it's life, it's normalcy. The triumph of the performances really go to Jacob Tremblay, and his sister in the movie. You know, both of these actors to me have bright futures ahead of them. The film is touching, and it's interestingly enough, you know, decides to use much of the story to share the perspective of the main characters by telling the story from their points of view, which I thought was very unique. We don't get to see movies viewing certain problems or certain situations through a child's eyes. And I had to take the opportunity and watch this with my family. I watched it with my daughter and son. And if you've been following me for some time, then you know I have an autistic son, and who's 7, and I have a 10-year-old daughter, and I also have an older son who's a teenager who doesn't live with me. And man, you know, just their reactions alone, and you know, I sat back and watched them, and it's very unique to see. This was a very touchy story, especially for me, because although my son looks normal, speaks normal, you know, him being autistic, I remember in the beginning, really affected me. And these are the big reasons, the main reasons I love movies, you know, especially films like this, because they're my escapism, you know, to reality. Sometimes life can be so stressful as a parent to a special needs child that sometimes you need that clarity. Sometimes you need to know that you're doing a good job. You know, me and my wife, we pat each other in the back, you know, just to say, I love you. I'm here for you. I think you're doing an amazing job. Sometimes you need to hear that, you know. It's very important. And in this case, you know, Julie Roberts and Owen Wilson, they play phenomenal parents. But at the same time, sometimes we forget that, you know, we have children, not a child, you know. So although he gets a lot of the screen time and he gets a lot of the, you know, direction in this movie, you know, we do acknowledge that he does have a sister who's yearning for some kind of attention. And, you know, she starts to rebel. And in real life, you know, I found myself giving a lot of attention to my daughter because she's in so many things, like soccer. You know, she was into swimming at one point, ballet, you know, after school activities, chess, and all these things where sometimes you're like, damn, you do a lot. What about my son, who doesn't do as much as the daughter? And sometimes you got to sit back and be like, damn, okay, I understand. As a parent, sometimes it could go beyond your head. You know, it could definitely go over your head. And, you know, back to the film, you know, the film to me has that good way to delve into the mindsets of these characters, and they give us some depth. As far as they're concerned, the movie ends up missing out on certain golden opportunities, which I feel could have been positives and would have rooted this film in various ways. But then again, you know, movies are about, right, 2 hours, 2 hours and a half the most, and you know, that would have been more detail to the plot. It would increase the, you know, the timing of the film, and it would have been a long film. So I understand why they cut certain things and why they maybe skipped and missed this opportunity, but I felt like, you know, they could have went a little more deeper. You know, it seems that most filmmakers nowadays are trying to tell these touching stories without becoming overly sentimental or being bogged down in melodrama. And it's a fine line, but when you're afraid of, you know, delving deeper, you're risking leaving your story too much on the surface. And I thought that was one of my negatives with this film, if any. The movie would have been much stronger had they focused on Auggie the entire film and leaving the exploration of the other characters to function and grow through their interactions with him. I found myself, you know, after watching this movie a few times, wanting more of Auggie. You know, I wanted deeper situations with his family, his friends, and the trials and tribulations of integrating into a middle school environment. Movies that do this well are movies that audiences end up cheering for. And this is one of those movies that you are going to cheer for. You're going to laugh. You're going to smile. It's going to provoke you to think a certain way. And even throughout all that, the movie still works for the most part and should be a must-see for anyone. You know, I'm telling you right now that this is a must-see film, especially for a child or anyone who has been bullied or anyone who has been a bully. Most people still don't get how truly and terrible and horrific bullying really is. And this movie definitely puts that on a pedestal, I think. With also being a very lighthearted movie. The friendship storylines in this movie to me are, second to none. I'm very idealistic, yes, but we do need more films like this, learning how to work together, learning how to communicate, learning how to not separate communities, but integrate communities. And, it's not only poor and minority people that have children like this. You have rich people like this. You have, people like this, all across the board. And we need to know how to be there for them, support them, not only emotionally, but to uplift them, to uplift their story, to be fun and to be funny with them, and sympathize with children like this. This was a wonderfully written gem. I could only describe this as a beautiful film, through and through. Obviously there were some details that highlight, kindness, love, appreciating for parents, appreciating for their children. But like I said, once again, I think this movie overall was just amazing. Julia Roberts, excellent. Owen Wilson, great. Isabella Vidovich surprised the shit out of me. Jacob Tremblay, proved again that he's not just a talent, that he's a tremendous little actor. And, have you ever felt the same about a movie? I think if this movie was a play, I'd give it a standing ovation. This is full of wonder. So that's my review. And if you liked this video, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and share this with your loved ones. I think this was an important film to see, especially if you're a child of special needs. If you have a child with autism, ADHD, all across the spectrum, definitely check this movie out. Check it with your significant other. Check, out with your other children, just to get them into the flow and give them an understanding. Look, this is what people go through. This is what we're going through. If you don't realize that we are going through it, and if you are going through it and your other children aren't aware or they didn't even get it yet, then maybe you are doing a good job. Kudos to you. But leave your comment on the Discord. Let me know what you thought. Until the next time, please.